Welcome to J is for Justice podcast. If live breaking news and following true crime is your thing, then please consider subscribing to my channel. And if you like what you see in my videos, please consider giving them a thumbs up. Good morning, my lovely people. Good morning. Happy Tuesday. This is a nice surprise to see you guys all in the morning. Get your votes in the poll. We're going to be reading through this meeting. I haven't read it yet, so I'm going to be reading it for the first time with you guys. I want to say hello to my lovely moderators. We've got Jammers and Meg P. Carlin Washington. Are our loungers here, and we've got Angie and Kendi and Angie and Jammers and Angie and Kendi. Did I make up for all the times that I've missed? I love you guys. And welcome Willie to chat. What's up, Willie? Willie. Karchi, and oh, there's Potato. I didn't see the potato. Ooh-wee. That will scare somebody. Let me open up the sound deck. So how are you guys doing this Tuesday? And have you read through this already? Put a 1 in chat if you've already read through this and you're like a step ahead of the rest of us.
Diarrhea of the mouth.
Diarrhea of the mouth in the clinker. Let me know if you heard that. Let me know if it blew your eardrums out. I hope it didn't. So, I hope you guys are having a good day today. Cheryl Kelly, it's a good day to be alive. It's a good day to be alive. So right now, our poll only has 11 votes. You guys need to get your votes in. But anyways, we're at 45% think Rozzy and Baldwin are to blame for this mess. And 55% of you think Judge Gull. Oh, you heard it?
It's in the water.
What the fuck? Before we begin, let's give a little update on our contest. And I forgot, this week is Turkey Week. It's Turkey Week. So can we get some turkeys for Turkey Week? What are you guys doing for Thanksgiving? Are you going to be home? We're going to be doing Black Friday here at J is for Justice. So right now I'm here to announce who is in the lead, as we have about 10 more days left. Right now we have, for our top donators, we have Punani Queen and Teresa are our two top donators right now. So they are in the running for the sweater. And then the top super chatter is Say No to Globalism right now. And the top member gifter is One-Eyed Flo. So congratulations, you guys are in the front runnings. Oh my gosh, Willie, I'm American Indian, so it's a sad day. I'm sorry. And you know what? I just want you to know that the majority of Americans don't know the truth, and they don't celebrate Thanksgiving for it to be like something negative to you, because I'm here to say, Willie, we were not taught the truth about the Native Americans. And I just want to say that you're kidding, you son of a bitch. I really felt bad because I've been doing some research on Native American history, and I'm shook at how we did the Native Americans. So, but Willie, you're good in my book. You come in, you fuck with me the first time you're here. I love ya. Welcome Willie to chat, guys. Hey, true crime and other stuff. You're cleaning the house. You're having a whole house full. That's awesome. Carlin says, Willie, we love you. Us black people are just there for the food. That's true, Potato. And it is true. I never thought of that day of being negative, because we always did cute little projects, Willie. Like, we would make cute little Indian hats. I know, it's sick, isn't it? But this is what they did to us in public schools. It's not our fault. You're Greek. You're not even Indian, but let's talk about Indians. We used to put on Indian hats. We'd make them out of construction paper, no less. And they'd be very colorful with all the different colored feathers, which is great if they would have taught us the truth along with those cute little projects. Because I didn't know. So we'd do like, oh, it was cowboys versus Indians and yada, yada, yada. And they made us feel like everyone's happy. But Greek, very interesting. I'm from Detroit. There's a lot of Greek folks up in Detroit. I love me some Euros. Euros. And tzatziki sauce. I'm all about it. That was a loaded thing. All right. So let's get into these documents, guys. We're doing a J for J read along this morning. Are you excited? If you're excited, say hell yeah, and then I'll pull these up if I can find them. I know when that hotline bling. There it is. Do you guys like it big like that, or do you want it medium, or do you want it just small? Would you like it smaller than that, though, for real? I don't know if you guys, from your viewing point, I know you can't see all the text with it that big, but go big or go home. We love it big. That's what she said. Yeah, do you just want the tip, or do you want the whole screen? Shutterbug says, hell yeah. Aw, Punani. Punani says, if I win the sweater, I want to gift it to Kendi because she got me a mug. You guys are so sweet. Willie says, give me the whole thing. All right, let's get into it. In the Supreme Court of Indiana, this is the respondent's supplemental, it's early, supplemental record, volume 101, pages 1 through 9, State of Indiana, as related to Richard Allen versus Carroll Circuit Court and the Honorable Francis C Gull, Francis C Gull, Special Judge. Table of contents. Record of in-camera proceedings held on October 19th, 2023. And this says, for the state of Indiana, Nicholas McClelland was there, James Luttrell, and Bradley Rozzi and Andrew Baldwin were there on the defense. Oh, yeah, I was going to play that. They're loud and beefy, or ooh-wee. That will scare somebody.
I flashed and said, wow, pretty far out.
I thought it was pretty.
I thought it was pretty.
Look at
far
it, it's
out.
Francis C Gull. And Jody L. Williams is the reporter. Okay, so we have some different people talking, so I'm going to try to differentiate it the best that I can. Proceedings. Attorney Nicholas McClelland. This is the prosecutor. The prosecutor is McClelland. Judge, I wanted to do some introductions. I finally got approval from our counsel to hire a paid attorney to help me, so... The court, which is the judge. Okay. Mr. McClelland. Small town, small government. So this is Jim Luttrell. He's a retired prosecutor from Grant County. He's decided or agreed to come on board. Francis C Gull. Okay, have a seat. He signed the oath into my office. Okay. And all that. I'm going to handle a written appearance. Attorney James Luttrell. Nice to meet you, Judge. Nice to meet you, Jim. Next week. Okay. Or maybe tomorrow if I have time, Judge. If I get it done. Okay. But he will be entered in, and we're trying to get him up to speed. Okay, well, good. Attorney Bradley Rozzi, which is Alan's attorney. Well, I'm kind of the one who asked to huddle up, so if you want me to lead, or if you want me to say some things, I'm okay with whatever approach you want to take here. Go ahead. Well, I think Jody's got our portable FTR going just so that okay, that's fine. Got a record. Obviously I'm happy to hear that the court's going to make some decisions on the pending pleadings today. I assume Andy feels the same way. It's time to get some closure, if you will, with regard to those items so that we can move forward. It's probably oblivious that the tension from our side is coming, from the words disqualification that were murmured in the phone conference that we had a couple weeks ago. I'm assuming you understand how that kind of raises the intensity level of the circumstances. And I guess if I have a concern today, it's that, we're going to go out on the kind of in the public, so to speak, in the courtroom, on the record, and have a discussion about an ongoing investigation. And that's what I kind of gathered from the email, So I think you invited Nick to talk about that if he wanted to. And, it makes me a little uncomfortable because I don't know. First of all, there are no pleadings that are pending, whether they're motions to disqualify or contempt citations or whatever they might be. They really frame any of the issues. And I have no problem. I mean, I don't have any problem talking about this stuff privately on the record in an ex parte type confidential hearing. I just think it's difficult to expect that there will be any kind of structure to the idea, Hey, there's an ongoing investigation and just tell us what's going on. And I don't know that it has any relevance to what we're really trying to accomplish today. And I don't know why Nick would want to talk about an ongoing investigation in public, knowing that in itself could be damaging to their circumstances. And so we're lawyers. We're used to having issues framed. We're used to having an opportunity to prepare. And I don't have anything to hide. And I know he doesn't have anything to hide. You've maybe gathered that we've cooperated. We've ran into the state police posts, our respective posts, if you will. And I had somebody advise me of my rights. And I waived those. And I gave a formal statement. He did the same. And I'm not sure that we're going to benefit or that this will be productive to just open floor this. That's my biggest concern today. Attorney Andrew Baldwin continues. I'm more of the due process side. I'm not really sure what will happen, but I just don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. And I would like the opportunity to know what's going to happen and prepare for their claiming or whatever before it happens. And I don't want to say ambushed, but it's hard to know for me what to do when I don't know what's happening. There's not a pleading we can respond to, things like that. So, you had indicated, when Nick said, I don't know if he said the word disqualification, but Judge, oh, he did. Was that the word? Mm-hmm. Okay, I didn't know if he said it in a more generic way. Mm-mm. And your response was, I'm leaning in that direction or something along those lines. Mm-hmm. And so that's, a cause of concern. I mean, we're wanting to try this case in January, and I'm willing to, we have made changes at my office that will prevent this from ever happening again, And we take directives from the court. We can, we're locking down every single thing on Delphi. It's in a dedicated room. We put locks on our conference room or the war room where this guy went. My friend went in and did this without my knowledge. And no document, whether it's benign or something super, like a crime scene photo, is ever going to be left alone for a single solitary second ever again. So, I'm hoping that can be something that the court, can say, all right, that's fine. And then let's get on with the trial. But I'll shut up now. Okay. So far, it sounds like a few weeks before this took place, there was a phone conference and it was mentioned that the prosecutor was going to ask that these guys get, what was it, disqualified? So this happened prior, like 2 weeks before this is October 31st. Hearing. All right, so that's Mr. Baldwin. Now, Nick McClellan, the court. Anything, Nick? Mr. McClellan. Judge, I guess my plan today was to give the court a summary of the investigation. I've got witnesses here and exhibits to present that go towards the investigation. I'm more than happy to hand over those to the defense. I know it might harm the investigation, but I think it would be important that the court hear these things. I guess the heart of it, investigation, I think it's important. I think it's important of you hearing it is outweighed by that. And so I have these things. I'm concerned that the leak is not just a one-time leak. The evidence that we have shows it is an ongoing leak. However, it's being done. And it's just, what's next? I have an issue. What's next? I mean, I spent the past 17 days investigating this night and day when I should have been focusing on preparing for trial. And when I say night and day, I mean phone calls at 2 a.m., 3:30 a.m., night and day. And so that's where I'm at, Judge. Again, I'm an officer of the court. I'm reporting to the court when I know, and that's kind of where I see my role. Okay. Now, Mr. Razi. This is starting to scream due process to me. I haven't seen any of these exhibits. And I don't know really, frankly. I don't know about any of this. I'm not distancing myself from Mr. Baldwin. I'm just saying I have no connection with any of these people, okay? And the idea that somehow the prosecutor is going to get to roll out a bunch of statements and exhibits and, testimony without us having any forewarning or any idea, any way of scrutinizing that seems a little outside the boundaries of due process to me. Plus, again, I get back to what is the relevance to what is going on in this case. Are we going to use an open courtroom to air an ancillary matter? It's not really connected in any way at this point to the proceedings that are ongoing, whether it's the Franks issue or anything of that nature. And I will tell you this, I am prepared to show the court this. I would rather do it in private. This problem has been a problem from the very beginning. I have 10 pages of a deposition transcript in this file from my deposition, our deposition that I took of Trooper Holman in this case. And in that deposition, he talks openly about how there were crime scene leaks from the very beginning. Unequivocal crime scene leaks. And that as soon as this crime occurred, they were investigating information that had been released because there were lay people that were part of the search party. And the implication is, and I've got the transcript, is that those people that found those girls started to essentially disseminate or distribute information. And law enforcement essentially tried to catch up with them, but it was really too late, as you might expect. Once it gets in the hands of the public, it's too late. So he told us that, almost volunteered that information to me in the deposition. The second concern I have is that I think I shared with the court just an example a week or two ago. Somebody sends me a court TV, bit. And I can assure you, I've never watched one of those bits on this case. I don't even know if I've ever really watched court TV. Maybe back when Simpson was ongoing. I don't know. And in that bit, Barbara McDonald is talking. 2 different occasions, she mentions how she's getting information from investigators on the ground that were at the crime scene. Now, we can all draw implications about that, but most importantly, it was corroborated by the fact that she was holding in her hand documents that I know to be directly related to the Purdue report. I mean, I saw the pictures. I know where those came from. And if, the point is here, I'm going to say this, maybe a little loosely, but forgive me. I don't care. I don't care that all this stuff is out there because it's been out there for 5 or 6 years. I don't have time. He doesn't have time. He doesn't have time to sit and try to marshal all this stuff while this case is ongoing because there's no end to it. But the point is, the court needs to have some context that this is nothing new. I lost sleep over the fact that there's a man who's dead and I don't even know. And frankly, Andy doesn't even know. And it's tragic. I don't know what life circumstances he had or what surrounded this. None of that information has been shared with us. But at the end of the day, what's going on out in the cyber world and in the public, as you might expect, a case of this magnitude that's been publicized for 6 years was beyond our control before we even got involved. And that was Rozzy, I believe, that whole thing. Yes. So now Baldwin's going to speak up. There's even a guy in Florida who says the guy in Texas who leaked all this stuff has received from a disgruntled Carroll County employee a whole file filled with stuff and photos included. And I haven't seen the photos that were leaked. I don't know what they are, I mean, if this could be set for a formal hearing in the future where we have a chance to do it the right way, then that's one thing. But, to go in there and we don't have any way to counteract anything. If I know what it is, I can, I know what that is. Or I don't know what that is. And it's, in the meantime, we can, I don't know. We honestly, this is the lowest point of my career right now because somebody did what they did to me. And that has nothing to do with Richard Allen. It certainly does not.
One-way ticket to
Richard Allen needs to have counsel there. So I just don't want to go in there and not be able to fight back with evidence that we are witnesses that we have to counteract whatever they claim that they have. So, all right, now Judge takes over. Judge Gull. C Gull. Let me put my gown on. Okay. Here are my thoughts. In no particular order. I don't know how many folks are out there, and I certainly don't wish to air publicly to the world the concerns that I have on this matter. My intent in having this hearing was to go through some of the pleadings that we have not yet decided. So I was going to start with reminding everybody about the decorum order, reminding everyone why we're here, to shut up, etc., etc. There have been reports to my sheriff about disruptive people, and I will remind people, if they are disruptive, they will be removed. And my sheriff is fully prepared to execute arrests if necessary. Because I know we've seen in our other hearings, people have been disruptive and hateful. So under the rules, under the canons of judicial conduct, I'm required to advise people within the room that the media is here and they are filming. They're doing pool coverage. So there's only 2 cameras in the courtroom and everybody's going to get coverage from that. And then I want to talk about the pleadings. So it sounds like Judge Gull was going to let us have cameras if this was going forward. So this wasn't even going to be anything she was going to touch. Apparently, they brought it up. That's what she's saying. They're doing pool coverage. So there's 2 cameras. All right. Defendant filed a motion for immediate transfer of custody. The state filed its response. The motion, again, has a lot of inaccuracies and some speculation. And it has been refuted ably. And I think that the affidavits that have been submitted by the state, and I'm going to deny the motion. The defendant then filed a motion for broadcasting order. The state filed its response. Your motion's overbroad. It's got a lot of irrelevant verbiage in it. And I'm required to consider individual requests for hearings. So I will, if the media wishes to have an individual request submitted. They know fully well how to do that. And I've provided to counsel all of those requests that I've gotten so far for this hearing. So if you want to file them for particular hearings, you're certainly welcome to do that. But the media is all over this, and they're not. They know how to do this. Mr. Razi, yeah, I was just trying to understand. Are you suggesting that they're going to determine on a case-by-case basis or on a hearing-by-hearing basis? Hearing by hearing. Okay. Yeah. All right. Okay. I just wanted to make sure I understood what. The state filed its motion for leave of court to subpoena the third-party records. I think that it was directed again to DOC. I clearly can't grant that. I'm going to grant the defendant's motion to quash. But if you continue to raise his medical and mental health in pleadings, that's fair game, then, for that to be provided by the state. You have also filed, Mr. McClellan, a motion for future proceedings and filings to be sealed prior to being released to the public. I've not gotten a response from the defense. Mr. Razi, can I speak on that? Sure. Mr. Razi, I think it's important to note that, we decided, okay, we're sealing stuff. We're going to make it public. Before we filed that Frank's brief, I had a long conversation with the court reporter, Karen Allen, over in Delphi. Oh my God. The court reporter's name in Delphi is Karen Allen. There's 3,000 people that live in Delphi. All right, hold up. I had a long conversation with the court reporter, Karen Allen, over in Delphi because I wasn't sure about Allen or Roller. I always want to call her Karen Allen because I wasn't sure about the mechanics of all this stuff was moving from Delphi to your office. And I know that you had set up some kind of website or something that people could access. And I was under the understanding and speaking with Miss Allen, I'm not blaming her for anything, but that when we file these things, they were going from them and they were hitting a button. We were filing with Carroll County. They were hitting enter and they were sending it to you. And you were essentially filtering this stuff, or at least you were seeing it before it became public. Nope, says the judge. And so that's the way in talking to her, that's the way I understood the mechanics, which I think is what happened to a pleading the other day, from what I understand. We filed something and you either put it in a queue. I think there's a way. Anyway, I tried to do some homework on that, and that's what Mr. Baldwin, I was a part of those conversations, and That's what she said. The judge. So does that need a hearing? I'm happy to have a hearing on that. I don't have a problem with that. Mr. Razi. Well, I don't really, I guess I'm just telling you for context. That's what Mr. Baldwin. I mean, could there be a happy medium if we file it confidentially and then the judge then gets a chance to review it first? Because that's what I thought was going on anyway. But if that's not what's going on, the judge, no, it's being filed confidentially if you mark it as such. Mr. Baldwin, I know. Yeah, I know that now. I'm kind of seeing why she's taking these guys off. They don't even know how to file a court motion confidential, or they're pretending they don't. Either way, it's concerning. The judge, I had my staff mark the memorandum confidential after it had been filed and disseminated to the public because the actual warrant was in there, and that's covered under a miscellaneous cause number. I'm happy to have a hearing. Mr. Razi, well, what is your ruling? I guess to make sure I understand, I don't want to fight about something that we don't need to argue about. I haven't ruled on that. Okay. You haven't filed a response, and that, yeah. My question is, do we need to have a hearing on that, or do you wish to file a response? The Franks motion clearly needs a ruling, and I'm working on that. The motion and exhibits are about 1,500 pages, and there are hours and hours and hours of interviews that have been made available that my IT staff has now cleaned to make sure they're okay. We already talked about that. And then, that brings us to my concerns that I had raised with all of you on our phone call. And I write everything out. And this is what I intend to say in open court. I have concerns regarding the defense team and the totality of the circumstances surrounding your representation of Mr. Allen. Candidly, my concerns began at our hearing on November 22nd of last year. Wow.
Yeah.
She had these concerns a year now. Mr. McClellan filed a motion for gag order, and we were in chambers. And you assured me, gentlemen, we don't want the media in our lives. We will not try this case in the media. And less than 2 weeks later, you issued an undated press release that contained an awful lot of information that would not normally be revealed. I don't know. I think you knew, or should have known, these were potentially violating of Rule 3.6 of the Rules of Professional Responsibility. But it is the press release that prompted me to issue the order, December 2nd, granting the gag order until further hearing. April 18th of this year, you filed a notice of tort claim against the Department of Correction. You stated in that notice that it was your intent to pursue, quote, our client's claims against you. The full amount of damages sought on behalf of my client is unknown. I don't know how you could do that in representing Mr. Allen in a criminal matter and then launch off into a civil matter. I think that's inappropriate. And welcome back, Robin. May of this year, we were notified by the state of the Brandon Woodhouse arrest and the subsequent delivery of your work product. And I think it was an outline you created for yourselves with the discovery. It was pretty detailed. I don't know if that's the right word. That apparently happened in December of last year. And that was not revealed to anybody. Not shared with the court. It wasn't shared with you. Although apparently you guys knew about what was going on. Mr. Baldwin, he didn't know. You knew. I did know. So then, Mr. Woodhouse gets arrested, and here we are. Grossly negligent to email that to the wrong Brad. What? Grossly negligent to send email to the wrong Brad? Who's Mr. Woodhouse, guys? Who's Brandon Woodhouse? Whoop, whoop. Thank you, Island Thrifts, for your super chat. Thank you, Little Rock. Good morning, Flo. Flo, I just wanted to let you know you're in the running for the membership gifters. You are in the lead. Punani and Teresa are in the lead as donators. And Flo and Globalism. Globalism is the top super chatter. So thanks, guys. All right. So I don't know who Mr. Woodhouse is. I'm waiting for chat to tell me if you guys know. You're a wiener. Yeah, you're in the running. All right. Well, I'll check back. Let me know who Mr. Woodhouse is if you guys know. So then Mr. Woodhouse gets arrested, and here we are. Grossly negligent in sending email to the wrong Brad. Your pleadings on the safekeeping order contain inaccuracies and falsehoods. That was proven in the hearing we conducted in June. The evidence presented by the state clearly demonstrated the falsity of your claims, and that was very troubling to me. And then, the last couple of weeks that we've been dealing with, the state provided you discovery that has been severely compromised. We now have an ongoing investigation. I'm not going to call it a criminal investigation. I don't know what it is, but it's clearly being investigated by the state of Indiana. Ooh, so this is way beyond even Judge Gull. This investigation. Everyone involved has sought counsel, including you, Mr. Baldwin. You've even had an attorney enter a written appearance this morning. I don't want to get into the investigation candidly. You are the constitutional authority for the state of Indiana. You choose to pursue it, that is up to you. If you choose to abandon it, that is clearly up to you. I am glad to hear you have cooperated, but Mr. Baldwin's attorney has clearly shared. I don't know if you've seen his pleading. Mr. McClellan. I saw it, Judge. Yes. It got kind of late. He emailed us and then, okay. Mr. McClellan. I saw that it was filed on the way here. Well, yeah, so he clearly shared it in his pleading. This is the judge again. Down to the fact that an individual has committed suicide. He included the fact that you left materials all over the conference room table, accessible to anyone. And this is a friend of yours who apparently you have consulted with on this case. So again, it's up to you if you wish to pursue that. I'm looking at the totality of the circumstances. You know, when I look at suppression, the case law requires me to look at a totality of the circumstances. And that's what I'm doing. And it pains me to say this, but the totality of these circumstances demonstrate gross negligence and incompetence on the part of the defense team. I am unsatisfied with your representation of Mr. Allen. I am gravely concerned about his rights to have a competent, non-negligent representation. He currently doesn't have that right now. Because you have demonstrated negligence, because what you have demonstrated is negligence and incompetence. Now, I'm sharing my thoughts with you privately. I don't want to say this in open court. I would encourage you to talk privately about what you wish to do. I don't want this coming out. It is not where we need to be with this case, but I will. But you don't know that you have just now been made aware of my concerns and where I'm landing. So if you wish to have a private conversation, I would encourage you to do that. But I don't believe your client is here yet. No, he's not. Clearly, you'll need to speak with him as well. So, Mr. Baldwin, I'm not good at reading between the lines. The judge, you're a lawyer. That's what you do for a living. Mr. Baldwin, when you say have a private conversation, are you talking the four of us or... I'm talking about you. I'm not accusing the state of gross incompetence and negligence. I am finding gross incompetence and negligence with you. So, okay, so, Mr. Razi, forgive me. Go ahead. No. Mr. Razi, I mean, obviously, reading the tea leaves here, what you're giving us is a chance to bow out gracefully, if you will, if that's the right term. Is there a scenario where the court would accept if I stayed on the case? I mean, I'm a team player. I'm not the kind of guy to just bail out on someone for the sake of doing it. But I think it's obvious that, he can speak differently. But I'm not as connected to some of, this most recent circumstances as he is. Mr. Allen is in a situation where he's going to have counsel. That's if he has new counsel. If you're going to take them a year to get up to speed, it's going to take them a year to get up to speed with the depth of information that continues to come in. And so I think that his Sixth Amendment rights matter. And, I'm probably the one that can at least move this thing forward with some sense of judicial economy. I don't like it. And that's not what I intended to do when I came in here today. But that would be a worst case scenario on our side, I guess. And so is that an option that the court will entertain? No. So basically what you're saying is you guys either quit on your own accord or you make me fire you. That's what? No. I'm saying to you that this is what I plan to say in court on the record when we convene at 2:00. Well, so is the culmination of that you're removing us from the case? I will, based on what I've just shared with you. Okay, well, I just want to make sure and I'm giving you the opportunity to have a conversation, how do you want that to go? I don't want to do this. But I will if I have to. This is Mr. Baldwin now. Should we bow out gracefully, as Brad says? How would we have a hearing? How would that go? Because if we're out of the case, then, Mr. Razi, then you're going to have to go ahead and rule on a bunch of stuff without lawyers in the room. No, the judge says. I would not do that. If you decide that your best course of action is to file a motion to withdraw, you can do that today. And I'll send Mr. Allen back to the DOC after you've had a chance to speak with him. Mr. Baldwin, would that happen before the hearing or after the hearing? The judge, your motion to withdraw would happen before the hearing. Mr. Baldwin, okay, that's what I wanted. Yeah. The judge, yeah, because he has rights. And I don't want those rights compromised by having a hearing without him having counsel. I assume if you choose to withdraw, that his financial situation hasn't changed, and he would still be entitled to court-appointed counsel. I can't imagine he has the ability at this point to hire counsel. I don't know that. Mr. Baldwin, Brad and I need to go talk. Yes, you do. Thank you, gentlemen. Mr. McClellan. Yep. Thank you, Judge. Off record. All right, let me get a drink here. It was more than thrifty. It was more than just the documents being released. She listed a lot of things she felt they did wrong. They filed things wrong. I mean, you can't file. If you're a lawyer and you're filing, you don't know how to file something confidential, or you're deliberately not filing it confidential. Either way, it's a problem. I don't know. I agree with the judge. I just don't think a judge is going to be an asshole just to be an asshole. I just don't think that's what's going on here. I think she's concerned about Richard Allen's rights, not these lawyers. She's worried about Richard Allen's rights and all of the shit that they've done impeding an investigation. The judge can do whatever she wants. She can do whatever she wants, Bianca. She can do whatever she wants. If she wants to remove them, she can remove them. Just the way it goes. And she didn't want to air everything they've done. It sounds like she didn't want to ruin their reputation completely by doing this publicly. But do you really think that she's going to put her entire reputation and job and career as a judge on the line? I don't think so. Bianca, whatever. I mean, I'm sorry you don't like to hear that, but that's just the way it is. I had a lawyer on here tell me that. If a judge wants to remove them, there's nothing they can do. Judges have a lot of power. They really do. And you may not agree with that power, but she does have it. Like, she's not doing something she can't do. Now, like Dimitri said, does it happen very often? It doesn't happen very often. So, like Dimitri said, it would, have to be something pretty serious. And I would call that, messing with a double homicide of 2 girls, 2 children, would be something, especially this high profile, that you're not going to mess around with. Well, they can send it to the Supreme Court, but the Supreme Court's not going to do anything. It's not going to change. He has new lawyers and it's moved on. But the point is, she did it closed door as probably like a courtesy to them, right? I mean, they're saying, oh, everything was under, like, did you hear how they said, we'll put everything under lock and key? Clearly, they didn't have it that way before. And they thought that the judge was going to be like, okay, mistake made, don't do it again. But I don't think I'm glad she's not handling it that way, because this shouldn't be a minor matter. This should be something. Well, no, I'm saying they may be looking at it, but they're not going to go against what the judge said, I don't think. I don't think there's any good way to handle kicking lawyers off a case, especially a high-profile case. You know what I mean? What way could she have done it any better? I mean, go into court and list all the ways, have the prosecution bring out everything that they've found out that they've done, and then publicly shame them, or let them just dismiss, take themselves off. I don't know. I mean, I see it both ways. I don't feel sorry for these lawyers at all, though. Not at all. Okay, so we're back on the record. Thank you, Jody. You're welcome. Okay, yes. Mr. Razi. All right. So obviously, we're kind of trying to figure out how to address this issue with very short notice, very little notice. The first thing we did is really to talk to the client. Our client is a big part of this, the biggest part of this, and he has communicated to us that he does not want us to withdraw from the case. He wants us to continue with his representation. He understands, I think, that he's not the gatekeeper, and he doesn't have the authority to really force the court to do that. He would like to say that on record. We asked him if that's what he wanted to do. We suggested maybe he would do it in chambers. Seems a little bit of a difficult position to put a man who's accused but not been found guilty, put him in a courtroom and have him, speak in circumstance with 15-minute notice. Andy and I'm going to speak for myself, and I'll let him speak for himself. I'm going to file a motion to withdraw. I don't want to do it, but I don't think I have a choice at this point. The options I've been given without any notice by the court really are either I withdraw or I'm going to be publicly shamed, and that's the way I see this. And I think that public shaming is there's not only a professional element to that, I think there's a personal aspect to that too. But when the media is teed up like this, and, we show up here at court today with the court having told us that we were going to conduct some business, and that somehow bleeds over into a forced resignation or whatever you want to, however you want to characterize this, that, I don't feel I have any other choice professionally. I have a life beyond this courtroom, and beyond this case, I have a family too, and I have a law practice. But I think we had been given some notice of what we were actually, if this would have been framed in a pleading format or some formal disciplinary claim, which there's a process for that in our business, then we could have come in here today with an opportunity to refute some of the things you clearly had, thought through and prepared before we got here. And we didn't have that opportunity. And it's the idea that I'm going to have to go in here in an open courtroom and essentially defend myself against claims that I don't agree with without any notice or without any opportunity, I think is unfair. I agree with this. I think that if anything was going to be brought up against them, that they should have had the opportunity to see it and respond to it before just booting them. Because it doesn't sound like, it sounds like she's directed them on things she didn't like over and over, but not to the point where like, hey, until 2 weeks before when they heard the word disqualify. So I think it's fair that they should see what they're up against. I don't think it's cool to blindly do that to them. And I don't know why the judge would do that. That I don't like. Because I really feel like they should have an opportunity to see what could potentially ruin their careers. This is their careers too. Yes, it's Richard Allen's, life, but this is also their entire career. And they don't even know who the witnesses that were ready to testify. They don't know what the evidence was. I don't like that. But this is Rozzy continuing. But I also have some common sense. And, me going in there and standing my ground because my client wants me to is just going to make things worse for him. And so I'm going to withdraw my appearance. I'm going to walk out of here. I'm going to go down to my car. I'm going to call my staff and have them prepare a motion. And I'm going to withdraw my appearance. But I'm doing it because I don't think I have any other choice professionally. Not because I want to. And not because my client wants me to. And I respect the court as an opinion, but we're professionals and we can disagree. Of course. And I am extremely, I'd say frustrated. It's probably a soft word. With the idea that we showed up today without any real opportunity to prepare for any of this. And I just think it's improper. And that's where I am. And that's my position. The judge. Well, I think we talked about when you asked for a disqualification, and I indicated on our phone conversation, I'm inclined to do that. Mr. Rozzy, it was a phone conversation that was not on record, and then some follow-up emails. True. There's an informality to that. True. And you also said that you hadn't done any research, and you hadn't, had time to talk to your senior judge and all these other things. And he hasn't filed a pleading with the court either. No, I'm doing this on my motion. Mr. Rozzy, and I'm a lawyer who practices in lots of courtrooms, and I've been through some disqualification actions. In 20 years, I've never had a disciplinary complaint in my life that's been confirmed, if you will. But I've had lawyers disqualified, and there is a process for that, and it's not this. With all due respect, when you walk into somebody's office, a judge office, and they read a prepared statement to you, and essentially that statement is an indictment on my professional, activities, and then you're handed, essentially a sheet of paper with two options, and one of them is, I'm going to go out there and shame you, or you can quit. You can understand how upset that would make any lawyer. And I just think I don't think it's the right way to handle this from a due process standpoint. So I have no choice but to, withdraw my appearance. Because I'm not going to go in there and take a public shaming without any notice of it. I just, that's where I am with it. Mr. Baldwin, I'm the same. I'm withdrawing. I mirror what he said. I do appreciate you giving us the advance notice. If there is some appreciation for that, I do appreciate it. But beyond that, I wanted to take this, and finish it out. I'm stunned. I don't know what to say. So I'll just say I'm moving to withdraw orally. Okay. Mr. Rozzy, is the court going to generate some further instructions on what to do with all the discovery we have? I already have. She's a bitch. Mr. Rozzy, all of this information and the judge, there's an order. I granted the state's protective order on discovery. Mr. Rozzy, no, I'm talking about my possession of all this information. Am I to take it out to the trash can? Am I supposed to wait for another attorney? Is the court going to give us some guidance on how to move all this information from one law office? I did. To another. When I granted the state's protective order, I think it's the last paragraph of that protective order directs you to return it all to the state of Indiana. All the copies, whatever you gave them, they are required under that order to return to you. Mr. Razi, at the conclusion of the case or your representation, Mr. Razi, I know what you're talking about. I read the order before I came in today. Okay. So we're just supposed to take everything back and give it to the state and then just retain our work product until somebody asks for it? Thank you, Christine. It's bananas. Anyo, member for 6 months, legendary. How you doing, bub? He always calls me a cow, too. I love you, CEO. The court. Your work product is your work product. I mean, I would hope that you'd share it with successor counsel. I would hope that you would help successor counsel with all the transfer of all the information because that's in your client's best interest to do that, but it's entirely up to you. That's your work product that you have developed. I mean, clearly, the discovery is required to go back to the state. Mr. Razi. Okay, thank you. What do you want to do with Mr. Allen? The judge. I could transfer him back to the Department of Correction. Do you want me to make a record with his? I mean, I think it's appropriate that the court let him speak into the record, his thoughts, unless the court just accepts that as noticed, those are his opinions. The judge. Well, you wouldn't lie to me about that. Wow. Wow. She just accused him of lying to her. Okay, let's read that part again. Mr. Razi, do you want me to make a record with his? I mean, I think it's appropriate that the court let him speak into the record his thoughts. Unless the court just accepts that as notice that those are his opinions. Judge, well, you wouldn't lie to me about that. Mr. Razi, I wouldn't lie to you about anything. Judge, so of course, that's your representation. That's what he would say if he were brought in here. I can't imagine the DOC being comfortable bringing him in my office. I would not be comfortable having him in my office. Mr. Razi, would the court also be inclined to mark as an exhibit the prepared statement so it's part of the record? I have the record rolling. Okay. Yes. So we're going to leave, I guess, and you're gonna... How is this? You're just going to get up on the bench and say? Judge. I will just indicate, too, Mr. McClellan's going to be in there with Mr. Luttrell, and I'll just say we've had a turn of events, and defense counsel is withdrawing, and that's all I'm going to say. Mr. Baldwin, can you wait for us to get out of here? Of course. And we can have you. I don't know where you're parked at. We have a hearing set for October 31st that I'd like to keep as trial setting and appointment of new counsel, and if you can get those things together by that date and return to Mr. McClellan, that would be good. Otherwise, if, with your permission, I will give successor counsel your contact info. Okay. Okay. Where are you parked? Nice to meet you. Mr. Luttrell, inaudible. Mr. Baldwin. Just right out there in the front of the building. I mean, there's a parking lot. There's a little parking lot in front of the building. I don't know what. Everybody's in the courtroom, so I don't think there's anyone out in the hallways. Mr. Razi, I'm going to go get my staff member. I'm going to have her. I don't need any. We'll rendezvous at some point and try to get the stuff back. Okay, that's fine. Between Steve and I and Sarah and you. Mr. Razi, okay. We will get it all. That's fine. Done. That's either Sarah. Thank you. Judge. Thank you. This concludes the proceedings had on camera on October 19th, 2023 in this cause. Wow. And this is certified by Jody L. Williams, Allen Superior Court, Allen County. So weird. Richard Allen, Karen Allen, Kathy Allen, and Allen County. This is weird. This is really weird. At first I was like, okay, you heard me. I mean, but to not give them an opportunity to even know like what's against them, right? Her attitude sucks. She's just like, yeah, basically like, and she was careful about her wording. Like she wasn't going to tell them, oh, hey, yeah, basically you quit or I'm firing you. She wouldn't admit that. She was clever about it. No, and what a mess. If there's been leaks going on from the beginning, this is just, I mean, how do you go back on all of this, you know? Bianca, granted, the defense should have been more careful with the evidence, but to taking them off the case that was ready to go to trial in January isn't fair for anyone, especially Richard Allen and the victims' families. Yeah, I just don't know, like, I mean, I kind of wish that she would have said everything that they did. Danielle Alexander, the investigation for the leak is still open, for God's sake. Why are these attorneys being fired before it's completed? Yeah. Good question, Danielle. Potato says, I feel like there isn't going to be any justice in this case. Vinny has a great response. She went against the laws for appointing new attorneys and she can't just appoint her friends from Facebook from Allen County. I know, but the bad thing is she can and she did. So I guess we have to wait and find out what happens with the Supreme Court, because who knows, maybe they will look at it. I made that judgment before reading all of it. I mean, that's just bonkers, is it not? Or bananas, like Christine said. Is bananas bananas? It is. I don't like this. I don't like it at all. I don't like this whole case. I never did. It's just, it's icky, you know? There's just so much ick that we don't know. And it's just one thing after another constantly. I can't imagine these families.
Bananas, B-A-N-A-N-A-S.
I can't imagine these families and what they go through with all this mess. You know, one day it's one thing. One day it's another. They have a trial date, then they don't. I mean, we see how, like, Brian Koberger's trial being delayed, how that hurt the Gonsalves family. You know, they were like, oh my God, we just can't take this. Like, we were ready. And now it's another delay. So that's the part, I guess, that really bothers me is these people just get, I mean, it's been a roller coaster for so long. It just doesn't seem fair. I have another couple stories I wanted to share with y'all. The first one, guys, I could not believe this. We got a couple news stories to follow this Tuesday, November 21st. I don't care if it's Brian Koberger's birthday. I don't even want to say that in all one word because I don't care about him. Fuck him. The more I learn about him, the more he pisses me off. I hope he gets slopped today in jail. I hope they give him something mixed with meat. Okay, so check this out. We have a Florida crime. Big surprise. Big shocker. This is probably one of the most disturbing child sex crimes that I've reported on lately. This man is a code enforcement officer. You heard me. Code enforcement officer, which means he works for the city. He's currently in Pasco County Jail, which is just north of me. He's facing charges of child porn and other sex crimes. And this is going to fire y'all up. Ready? Here we go.
From our I-Team and the very disturbing criminal charges facing the city of Port Richey's code enforcement officer.
He's now facing multiple felony charges, including possession of child pornography, video voyeurism, and sexual contact with animals.
Tonight, I-Team investigative reporter Adam Walser uncovering new details.
Look, okay.
Port Richey's code enforcement officer's truck is parked at City Hall, while the man it has been assigned to for the past 13 months, 56-year-old Jeffrey Thomas Singleton, is behind bars at the Pasco County Jail. Singleton's neighbor Don Reed saw detectives searching his house on Wednesday.
They were there all day carrying stuff out of the house.
Wow. So a lot of evidence they were gathering.
Right, yep.
According to police reports, Google reported to the National Center for Missing and
Okay, so hooray to Google. Hooray to Google. Google caught this. So like our Google fingers, people that are doing QA, thumbs up to you. Thumbs up to you. At least you're not like Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook. We're going to get into that after this.
Right, yep.
According to police reports, Google reported to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children that a Gmail account associated with Singleton was used to upload pornographic images of children. A search warrant was obtained for his account, which contained 33 files of child pornography and 21 files containing sexual activities with people and animals. Reports say when Pasco detectives searched his home, they found a hidden camera Singleton allegedly used to shoot videos of his girlfriend's daughter undressing.
Can you believe it? This guy not only had child pee, but he had a hidden camera in the house watching his girlfriend's daughter undress. Are you kidding?
Yikes.
Which were then posted online. They also found images of Singleton engaging in sex acts with two dogs investigators identified at his home.
That's unreal.
Why is he laughing? That's sick. Maybe he's just in shock.
Can't believe when you told me that. I just, wow.
When we went,
okay, this is what pisses me off, you guys. This guy was having sex with two of his dogs. Y'all call the Pasco County Sheriff and tell them to get those dogs the fuck out of his house. The fuck out of his house. Not only was the stepdaughter having pictures taken of her and video of her dressing and undressing, this motherfucker still has the dogs are still in this house. Why would they leave the dogs in the house? It makes me sick.
Wow.
When we went to Singleton's
Unreal.
home, dogs were barking, but nobody answered. Port Richey's new city manager, who just started last week, declined an on-camera interview, but he stressed that the incidents involved Singleton's personal life and not his job. He says the city is working through its personnel procedures, which he hopes will be resolved in the near future. The I-Team has uncovered during Singleton's tenure.
Call the city of Port Richey. Call the Pasco County Sheriff. Tell them to get those fucking dogs out of that creep's house.
The number of code violation cases grew from 17 during his first month on the job to 112 cases in July.
He was on top of me pretty hard.
Tate Lundquist says Singleton
We've got two witnesses who say this guy was a piece of shit.
began aggressively citing him shortly after taking the job. This is video Lundquist shot of Singleton driving by his marina in October.
So he
Targeting, just bing, bing, bing. 5 on my property alone.
Eric Sabates, who keeps his boat at Lundquist Marina, says he observed one interaction.
Screaming and yelling, top of his lungs. Top of his lungs.
What was he saying?
I'll see you in court. I'm going to see you in court.
One case involved in
I love this guy. He mocked him. So this guy, this asshole, and you know who else was a code enforcement officer, was BTK. 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 This is horrible. Has JLR covered this? Because he needs to go save the dogs.
Tate Lundquist says Singleton began aggressively citing him shortly after taking the job. This is video Lundquist shot of Singleton driving by his marina in October.
Targeting, just bing, bing, bing. 5 on my property alone.
Eric Sabates, who keeps his boat at Lundquist Marina, says he observed one interaction.
Screaming and yelling, top of his lungs. Top of his lungs.
What was he saying?
I'll see you in court. I'm going to see you in court.
One case involved a new sign on a former welding business Lundquist bought. Another involved this Barbie's Playhouse sign he put on a planned Airbnb.
You could ask him a simple question, and he would just
Barbie's Playhouse on an Airbnb.
scream top of his lungs, I'll see you in court. Can't you read? Belittling me. And, you know, that prompted me to start digging into who he was, his credentials.
Through records requests, Lundquist obtained Singleton's resume, which showed he previously worked in New York State as a constable, a code enforcement officer, a corrections officer, and a campus police officer at Canisius University in Buffalo.
Can you believe this shit? Buffalo, New York. Look out. This guy moved to Florida and became a code enforcement officer, and he is a piece of shit.
Singleton only worked there 5 months, ending in March 2020. A college spokesperson would not say why he left. Singleton also worked as a volunteer firefighter and paramedic. Wow. City records show Singleton failed his Florida Fundamentals of Code Enforcement certification exam 3 times. The Pasco County Sheriff's Office declined to comment on the case, saying it was still an open investigation. I'm I-Team investigator Adam Walser with photojournalist Matt McGlashan taking.
Wow. Okay, so I went a little deeper into this Jeffrey Singleton. Jeffrey Singleton, Florida. You guys, I know, Meg, I am too. Pasco County. The city of Port Richey's code enforcement officer has been a constable, a police officer, a corrections officer, a firefighter, and a paramedic before taking his job a year ago in October of 2022. 56-year-old Jeffrey Thomas Singleton. According to police reports, Google reported to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children that a Gmail account associated with Singleton was used to upload pornographic images. Ugh. They also found images of Singleton engaging in sex acts with 2 dogs. Investigators identified at the home. Who do you call to complain about this? Why are the dogs still at the house? The Pasco County Sheriff's Office declined to comment on the case, saying it was an open investigation. So is that who we need to call? Because this just came out. Oh, this came out on the 17th. I don't know if the dogs are still there. I don't want to jump the gun because they could have taken the dogs by now. And he's nude. He's got no shirt on. These people are living in our neighborhoods, guys. It's so scary. We reached out to the city and they are reviewing the incident and stated that none of the allegations occurred during business hours while employed with the city. Singleton's a final determination of his employment will be announced soon. He has child porn and they didn't fire him immediately? What? Should I call the Humane Society in Pasco and see if they picked up the dogs? I'll call them. I don't give a fuck. This is ridiculous. I'll find out if they were able to pick them up. Maybe they'll tell me. I feel sick. Let's call them right quick. Let's see. I'll put it on speaker so you guys can hear. User busy? That's not even a working number. Okay, hold on. 813. I'm going to call Animal Services. They don't open till noon. Oh, they don't open till noon, guys. These places are all closed till noon. Yeah, they're not open yet. It's still too early. Nasty. Thank you, Flo. Thank you for your super chat. Flo says, I love it when you're rightfully mad. Well, I'll call the Pasco County Sheriff and ask him if they picked up those dogs at Jeffrey Singleton's house. County Sheriff Office. We'll just ask. Animal control's not open, so 727-847-8578.
Can't stop addicted to the shindig.
We're sorry. You have reached a number that has disconnected or is no longer in service. If you feel that
Really?
you are recording an error, please check the area code and the number and try your call again.
Okay, that's wonderful. Disconnected. Okay, let's see. Who do I even call? I'm trying to file a report. I don't want to file a report. Toll free and then the file. What do I want? Road patrol? I don't want that. I don't want a tip line. To request a deputy for non-emergency. Please call the Pasco County Board of County Commissioners Consolidated Communications Center. What? Okay, I'm calling the administration office. This is ridiculous. It shouldn't be that hard to find a damn phone number.
Thank you for calling the Pasco County Consolidated Communications Center. If this is an emergency, please hang up and dial 911. Please note all calls are recorded. Please select from the following menu. For the Pasco County Jail, press 1. To contact Florida Highway Patrol, press 2. Or call direct at 866-369-4613. For Pasco County Animal Control Services, press 3.
They're
or call
closed.
direct at 727-834-3216. For Pasco County Sheriff's Switchboard, press 4. Or call direct at 727-84. Thank you for calling the Pasco Sheriff's Office. If this is an emergency, please hang up and call 911. If you know your party's extension...
I don't know the address, Meg. I can't.
Please listen carefully to our following menu options. To report a crime, traffic accident, or if you need a deputy to respond to a non-emergency situation, press 1. For the county's detention center, to find out if someone is in jail or to schedule a video visitation with an inmate, press 2. For the record section, to request copies of reports or request of...
I'm not fucking with that. Newport Richey City. Why are these websites so hard to find? Oh my God. City manager, city clerk, city departments. Police. Oh, there they are. Fuck. Glad I didn't need them for an emergency. Look, there's no fucking phone number. It's just their address. Oh my God. Here we are, down here at the bottom. All right, I found it. I'm calling as a concerned citizen. Jeffrey Singleton, right? Singleton.
Thank you for calling the city of Newport Richey. We are using an automated answering system.
Of course you are.
Phone calls.
She can't get a fucking
If you
human.
know your party's four-digit extension, you can dial it at any time. You can learn about city services 24 hours a day by visiting our website at cityofnewportrichey.org. To better serve you, please choose from the following options. For billing and collections or financial services, press 1. For development, press 2. For the city manager's office, press 3.
You know she's not going to answer.
For the police department, press 4. You have reached the City of Newport Richey Police Department.
Still no human.
If this is an emergency, please hang up and dial 911. If you know your party's extension, you may dial it at any time. Press 1 for non-emergency dispatch. Press 2 for records. Press 3 for red light and impound. Press 4 to contact an officer. Press 5 for property and evidence. Press 6 for code enforcement.
Code enforcement!
Press 7 for
Call his ass.
division. Press 8 for criminal investigation division. Press 9 for the victim's advocate.
Criminal investigations.
Your call is being transferred.
Investigations.
Hi, I'm calling with a concern as a citizen. It's regarding Jeffrey Singleton, the guy you guys just arrested, and his dogs that were at his house still when the media went there. I just didn't know. Are you guys rescuing those dogs from his house?
I don't know. Newport Richey Police made the arrest?
I believe so. I don't know, maybe the sheriff's office as well. I tried to call them. I couldn't get anybody. I couldn't get through to a person. But I'm just concerned about these dogs because of the allegations. And like those dogs are still there. Like somebody needs to take care of those dogs. I have a lot of people that are concerned.
Let me transfer you to our communications they can look it up for you to find out if, where the ones that made the arrest. Bear with me one moment, okay?
All right. Thanks so much.
No problem.
He doesn't even know if they made the arrest? He hung up on me. He fucking hung up on me. He hung up on me. So now I got to call back and go through all that again. Are you freaking kidding me? How did he not know if they made the arrest? He works in their same department. I'm calling back. I think he went to transfer me and he didn't know what he was doing.
Thank you for calling the City of Newport Richey. We are using an automated answering system to service phone call.
I think it was 4.
You have reached the City of Newport Richey Police Department. If this is an emergency, please hang up and dial 911. If you know your party's extension, you may dial it at any time. Press 1 for non-emergency dispatch. Press 2 for record.
Yeah, he didn't know how to transfer, so I'm just getting dispatched.
This call will be recorded for quality and
he was
training
sending me
purposes.
to them anyway, I think.
Your call is being...
Newport Police.
Hi, I have a concern as a citizen that I had a question about.
Okay.
It's regarding Jeffrey Singleton, the guy that was just arrested the other day.
Okay. I'm not familiar with what can I help you with?
Well, I'm concerned with the allegations of the animals in the house and The media went over there and knocked on the door. No one answered, and the dogs are still there. I just wondered if those dogs had been rescued yet.
What is the address of the home? Does it say?
Oh, I don't know. He's the Newport Richey code enforcement officer that was arrested for child porn and all kinds of crazy stuff. And
no, that wouldn't have been us. We didn't have a Newport Richey officer arrested.
No, he's
Pasco
not.
County Sheriff?
No, he's not an officer. He's a code enforcement.
Right. So we have 3 code enforcement officers, and I know none of them have been arrested. They're all here today. So it's probably Pasco County code enforcement then.
Oh. Is there any way? I mean, this guy lives in your city, and he was arrested.
What is the address, you know?
God, I don't. They didn't give it out. But his name's Jeffrey Singleton. And he's a really, really bad person, and he is accused of having sex. They had images of him having sex with his dogs. And the media went over there, and they had a news report, and they knocked on the door, and the dogs are barking.
Okay, nobody's notified us of anything. I'm not even familiar with that arrest. Give me a moment. Let me see if I can find anything, okay?
Thank you so much for your help. Okay, so he works for Pasco County. He doesn't work for the city. They have 3 code enforcement officers. I'm like, dude, one of them had sex with dogs. I don't know what to tell you. Criminy. This is for the dogs. I'm doing it for the doggos. Oh, fuck. Stressed. So this is all within Pasco County. He's probably going to tell me you have to call Pasco County. But I will just wait until noon and call the Humane Society and Animal Control. If somebody can get his address real quick, Jeffrey Singleton, Newport Richey, Florida. Let me see if I can find it. If I could have given him the address. Newport Richey, Florida. It's going to be all the news articles. Port Richey's only code enforcement officer. It says here the city of Port Richey's code enforcement officer. Wait a minute. Dude, they're saying it was Port Richey. What? He's like, we have 3 and none of them were arrested. Yeah.
Okay, so I just had to Google that. Yeah, so it was not one of my code enforcement officers, and we're not the investigating agency either. So I don't have his address. What I could do is I could give you the phone number for the Pasco County Sheriff's Office. According to this, it says they're in the investigative agency, then maybe they can look into it.
Okay. If I have the address now, is there any way you guys can make a check on the dogs?
What is the address?
Hang on one second. I'm sorry. Hold on. Someone just sent it to me. No, that's not it. I don't have it. I'm sorry. Shoot. I thought that was it.
I don't have it either. But if you want to call the sheriff's office, maybe they can look into it. Then if they need us to, they can contact us to go out to an address.
Yeah.
Do you know the cross streets? Because he said it's in our city.
Yeah, I have no idea. Like I said, they just said he lived in Newport Richey, and he was.
Okay, so the city of Newport Richey only actually handles 4.6 square miles of Newport Richey, and everything else that's actually titled as Newport Richey is handled by the sheriff's office. More than likely to be handled by the sheriff's office.
Oh, okay. So you're kind of like Clearwater. You just do the city.
We have a municipal city, a downtown kind of area.
Okay, that makes sense. I'll try to get a hold of the sheriffs then.
Would you like their direct phone number?
Yes. Give me 2 seconds here to get something to write with. Okay, go ahead.
It's 727
Mm-hmm.
847 8102, extension number 7.
All right. Thanks so much for your help.
You're welcome.
All right. Bye-bye. He didn't even seem shook that I said this man had sex with his dogs. Well, it's not one of mine. He's thinking his lucky stars today that it's not one of his.
Thank you for calling the Pasco County Consolidated Communications Center. If this is an emergency, please hang up and dial 911. Please note all calls are recorded.
Number 7. It's ridiculous.
Communications, how may I help you?
Hello. Could you help me out? I have a question about, well, actually I have a concern. So there was a man named Jeffrey Singleton that was arrested by the sheriff's department the other day for some bad stuff. And apparently, like, part of that was there was images of him doing bad things to his dogs. So as a concerned citizen, I'm calling to ask if those dogs have been rescued from that house.
So you want to know if the dogs were taken from him?
Yes, absolutely. Ma'am, he's accused of having sex with his dogs. And the media went over there, and in their clip, there's dogs barking inside that house.
Oh, okay. And what's the address?
That I do not know. I don't have his address.
Don't have his address?
No, I just know that he's in the Pasco County Jail, and those dogs are barking when the media knocks on his door. And you guys should have his address. I don't know where he lives.
Okay. So are you saying that you hear the dogs barking at his home now, or you heard it on the clip?
I heard it on the clip, so I was just wondering if they were rescued, and if not, if they're going to be. That's all. I'm just concerned. It's disturbing.
Okay. I'm gonna have to have someone to call you back. What's the phone number they can call you back at?
It's 727.
Send it to a desk officer. Can he search and find that out for you?
Yeah, that'd be wonderful. I'm just trying to get some information.
Okay. All right, they'll be calling you shortly.
All right, thanks so much.
You're welcome.
All right, bye-bye. I felt like I had to say that he had sex with these dogs in order to get their attention. For crying out cats. How do they not, like, how are they not aware of this stuff? It's crazy to me. Crazy. Whew. Hopefully they call me right back. I mean, let's see if we can find his arrest affidavit. Usually Florida's pretty good about this stuff, so let's see if they actually have it out yet. Nope, no one has posted the document. And some guy started 5 days before this happened. Can you imagine? Man with ties to Western New York.
Next tonight, a former Canisius University employee is now behind bars in Florida facing a range of felony sex charges. Now, we do want to warn you, some details in this case are disturbing. Prosecutors in Pasco County, that's north of Tampa, accusing Jeffrey Singleton of owning child porn, producing it, and having sexual contact with animals. Singleton was working for the county government when he was arrested. Before that, he held a range of public service jobs here in our region, including 5 months with the Canisius Police Department. 7 News reporter Krista Moran taking us through this case.
56-year-old Western New Yorker Jeffrey Thomas Singleton, who was working as a code enforcement officer in Florida, is behind bars at the Pasco County Jail. Singleton's neighbor, Don Reed, who lives in Florida, saw detectives search his house on Wednesday.
We were there all day carrying stuff out of the house.
Wow. So a lot of evidence they were gathering.
Right, yep.
According to police reports obtained by our sister station in Tampa, Google reported to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children that a Gmail account associated with Singleton was used to upload pornographic images. A search warrant was obtained for his account, which contained 33 files of child pornography and 21 files containing sexual activities with people and animals. Reports say when Pasco detectives searched his home, they found a hidden camera he allegedly used to shoot videos of his girlfriend's daughter undressing and then posted online. They also found images of Singleton engaging in sex acts with his 2 dogs investigators identified at the home.
That's unreal. I can't believe when you told me that, I just, wow.
Our sister station also obtained Singleton's resume showing where he previously worked. Singleton was campus police officer at Canisius University. He only worked there 5 months ending in March 2020. A college spokesperson wouldn't say why he left. He also volunteered as a firefighter and paramedic in North Collins and worked in the town of Concord as a court and code enforcement officer. Yet city records show Singleton failed his Florida Fundamentals of Code Enforcement certification exam 3 times. Krista Moran, 7 News.
Unreal. Whew. Mm-mm-mm. Weird. Someone named Jeffrey Singleton was killed by a cop. Yeah, they don't have his... Isn't that weird? We usually get the arrest reports. Let's go to Pasco County Court Records. Maybe we can get it ourselves. And then we're going to talk about Facebook. Okay, because I'm proud of Google. Good job, Google, catching this creep, right? They do that all the time. Their employees look for this stuff. Singleton. If you guys are still here watching, thank you for being here. Hit that like button. Here's his address, Bayonet Point, Florida. He's not actually in Newport Richey. Okay, so here's the charges. Let me make this a little bit smaller. That's what he said. Okay, here it is. Obscene material, possess 10 or more child porn image. This was on the 14th. Conservation, animals, film, possess, image, video, animal, sex act. For God's sakes. The next one, sexual offense, video voyeurism, 19 years or older, first offense. And then another charge, conservation, animals, sexual contact with animals. All right, let's see. Public defender, written plea of not guilty, demand for jury trial. This might be a trial to go to. Come on. Here's the complaint. Will it load? Why can I not load the complaint? It's not locked. The information you've requested is not available at this time. Court events. They don't have his address on here, though. Let's see if I can read this one. Public defender appointed. All right, let's see if we can read the complaint. He's 56 years old. He hasn't even been arraigned? Like, what? Filed with the court on 11/14. Complaint. Advice to defendant. And none of these load. He was arrested on the 14th, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. It's been a week, and they still don't have this shit up here? I don't care how sick it is. It just says Bayonet Point, Florida. So let's put Jeffrey Bayonet Point, Florida. I mean, nothing comes up on him. Weird, isn't it? Just that one arrest picture. That's it. Where's Bayonet Point? Oh, nice. CEO of HCA Hospital in Florida that allegedly had roaches in the operating room leaves job. So they got a new CEO because there was roaches in the operating room. Nice. Oh, my goodness. Surgeons recount woes, including cockroaches at Florida. I can't. I cannot. So here's Bayonet Point. So it's north. He lives up here. Here's Newport Richey here. And this is where he lived up here. We can maybe look up his neighbor's name and see where he lives. Dan Reed, Bayonet Point, Florida. Is this him? Dan Reed, a convicted felon, was convicted of possessing a weapon. Dude, you can't find any of these people anymore. Who knows? All right, let's get to our next story. I'll wait for that cop to call me back and we'll see what's up. Because we can't see any of this stuff yet. Apparently they don't have it loaded. That must be why it's not yellow and it's kind of like whited out. I can't either. I hope Brian Koberger chokes on whatever he eats today. Fuck him. Okay, our next up, we're going to be going and talking about Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg, because we just saw Google, right, in action. They caught this nasty dude. But check this out.
Factor two.
And, you know, gotta love
Senator Hawley. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Gotta love Josh Hawley. Okay, so here we go. They're questioning a guy that used to work for Meta, aka Facebook. Okay. And this hearing was on social media and the teen mental health crisis. And we should all be paying attention to these hearings, what's being said, and what's going on social media with these CEOs of social media and what they're doing and what they're not doing. And Josh Hawley is about to let us know.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Behar, thank you again for being here. I just want to first establish a fact or two just to make sure everybody understands. So on October the 5th, 2021, you composed an email, which is now, I think, in the record, to Mark Zuckerberg, Sheryl Sandberg, and a group of other executives at Meta. Am I right so far?
That's correct.
In that memo, you disclosed to them that according to your own research, 1 in 8 children now, had experienced unwanted sexual advances within the last 7 days. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And about 1 in 3, I think it was 27%, had experienced unwanted sexual advances outside of the 7-day window. So that is more than 7 days. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Those numbers are astounding. I just want to let that sink in. 1 in 8 within 7 days, a third of children outside of that window. Mark Zuckerberg, did he reply to you?
Before we find out, I don't like how they're saying unwanted sexual advances. What child wants a sexual advance? None. So they should all be unwanted. That word shouldn't even have to be said. But let's hear those stats again. For those with children, you might want to listen up.
Numbers are astounding. I just want to let that sink in. 1 in 8 within 7 days, a third of children outside of that window. Mark Zuckerberg, did he reply to you?
He did not reply.
Did he meet with you?
He did not meet with me.
Sheryl Sandberg, did she meet with you?
She did not meet with me.
So, in other words, the people who had recruited you to come back to Facebook, Meta, whatever, it's hard to keep up, they ignored your findings. When you presented data to them they didn't want to see, they turned a blind eye. Let me ask you about something else. This is from the Wall Street Journal's report earlier this year. This is June of this year. They found the following. I'm going to quote. Instagram helps connect and promote a vast network of accounts openly devoted to the commission and purchase of underage sex content. Pedophiles have long used the internet, but unlike the forums and file transfer services that cater to people who have an interest in illicit content, Instagram doesn't merely host these activities. Instagram's algorithms promote them. Instagram connects pedophiles and guides them to content sellers via recommendation systems that excel at linking those who share these interests, the journal and academic researchers found. This is a stunning report, Mr. Behar, that more than buttresses, bears out what you were trying to tell the executives who ignored you. Just give us a sense, in your own view, why do you think this is happening? Why has Instagram become, in the words of the Wall Street Journal, a vast pedophile network? Why are people like your daughter, every time they get on Instagram, they're being bombarded with unwanted sexual advances, sexual content? Why is this happening?
My experience of that is that most of the resources, if close to all that they invest in this, go towards this very narrow definition of harm. And so I would encourage anybody here, when you're looking at this issue, if you find an account that seems to be a pedophile account selling things, try and act on it. Try and raise it, see what the company does with that. But see what happens if you like it or follow it, what you start getting recommended, and of all of the things that get surfaced by the systems, how many of them are they acting on? It's a fraction of a percent.
One of the things that you said changed from the time you left Facebook in 2015, I think it was, and came back in 2019, was that Facebook had shifted to an automated-driven process of safety standards, safety inspection, monitoring for things like this, which they boast about. They say that their AI is great, it's doing great work. That doesn't appear, however, to be the actual fact. It appears that these harms are proliferating. Tell us about the shift towards automated safety monitoring and what that has meant in your experience.
I was not there for the shift, but what I can say is that algorithms are as good as their inputs. So if you don't allow a child to be, oh, that is gross, it makes me uncomfortable, right? Which is something that you can do for an ad today. You can take an ad and say, that is sexually inappropriate. But there's no way for a child to do that when they get a message or other areas. How do these systems, like, even have a hope of addressing these issues? How can they, as a company, have a hope of addressing these issues if they're not willing to listen when a teen is trying to tell them that they're experiencing gross content, unwanted sexual advances? I mean, that's how you find predators. That's how you find the bad things.
So what your research found and what you elevated to leadership was, at least in part, that these automated systems were not catching the vast majority of this unwanted content out there. I mean, the sexual advances of this pedophile material, it simply doesn't begin to capture. Yet Facebook didn't shift more resources, didn't change their process. And here's the thing that really gets me, and I'll end with this, Mr. Chairman. I know there's others who want to question. I've been reading over and over and over again this case filed by my home state, Missouri versus Biden. Landmark First Amendment case in which two federal courts, federal district court and a federal court of appeals, have found that Facebook, among others, actively coordinated with the present administration to censor First Amendment protected speech. Not this garbage that is not protected by anything in our Constitution, but First Amendment protected speech. Here's what gets me. What the courts found, this is in the record, this is factual findings, is that Facebook devoted all kinds of resources and people, actual human people, to doing things like monitoring posts on COVID-19 vaccine efficacy. There's one example of a parent in my home state of Missouri who wanted to post something about a school board meeting. Facebook used human moderators to go and take down that post. That was important. That has to come down. We can't have them posting about school board meetings, for heaven's sake. But the things that your daughter experienced, this ring of pedophiles, rings plural, that Facebook just can't find the time for. They just don't have the resources for it. That we just have to leave to, let the market have its effect. Let AI do its job. We just don't have the resources for it. They had plenty of resources to censor First Amendment speech. No resources to protect our children.
There we go. There we go. So they're not doing anything. And this includes Instagram. So I was looking for this body camera footage that came out of this old ass man that had been buying, or had been sharing rather, child porn on Instagram. And he explains to the cop how you do it. He's like, oh, all I have to do every 12 hours is upload a photograph to stay in the group. Why are these groups allowed to stay on Instagram? Why are they not shutting them down? Idaho 4 group on Facebook even does it. Yeah, I have profiles commenting. Thank God it monitors like my Facebook page, because I have profiles on Facebook that left like the squirting emojis and a link to prawn. Yeah, I don't like it. Fuck Zuckerberg. That's what I got to say. All right, guys, that concludes our show for today. I hope that you learned something. And if you can, like this video before you leave, please. If you haven't already, we're going to roll our credits. And 3 o'clock today, I have a premiere rolling out. I'll see you in the chat room. Thanks for being here, guys.
something real, but I'm feeling differently. You're making plans to get to France, but don't wanna face the fact that
so cold in the deep. How the fuck do we talk to keep peace?
And niggas wife me once they get that good punani.
Is it one Jennifer or two Jennifers?
Bye, Jennifer. Thanks so much, Jennifer.